Hey, good day, good day, good day, and welcome back to Lifestyle Focused Wealth with Ronco Johnson. I'm your host. Hey, every Friday at 1 p.m., we do this thing right here every Friday. We want to welcome you and thank you for joining us. We have come together to discuss strategies that help individuals, families, and professionals, and many business owners build wealth intentionally. So we want to help you protect it. And what they've built is important. And we want to create the lifestyle that they've worked so hard for and so hard to achieve over the years, right? So because you're here, what I mean by here is lifestyle focused wealth. We believe wealth isn't just about money. It's about freedom. It's about options. It's about protecting what people that you love the most and the things that matter most to you. And today we're going to be talking about something that I completely know can change the way you think about financial planning in any way, shape, or form. Today is not about products. Today is about strategy. And we're going to talk about it because far too many people ask the wrong question. They usually ask why. What's the best product? What's the best investment? What's the best insurance policy? But successful people don't ask they ask a very different question. They don't ask about those things. They ask, what's the best strategy for the outcome I want to achieve? They want to know because products are tools. Strategies, that's the blueprint. And without the blueprint, the best tools won't build your life the way you want it to. So today we're going to be discussing 3 powerful planning strategies that most people would never associate with life insurance. And at the end of today's show, you may begin to see financial planning in a completely different way. So do me a favor, sit back, relax, and grab yourself a pen, a pad, and let's get started. And I'm going to see you on the inside, and we're going to talk about it much more right here on When the Lights Go Out. Are you ready? Hey, good day, good day, good day. It's Ronco Johnson, your lifestyle focused wealth coach. How are you doing today? Hey, happy Juneteenth to you very early. And today we're going to be talking about some things that I know you're going to be wanting to get into. But first, I want to make sure we get all the things taken care of. If this is your first time to the show, I want to say thank you for joining us. And we want to allow you and encourage you to do a few things. Go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe. Share it with a friend. Let them know that it's 1 o'clock and you're here. And we want them to be part of the conversation. We want you to be a part of the conversation. Because today we're talking about strategies, y'all. We're talking about strategies. So we want to make sure that we welcome you back to our Lifestyle Focused Wealth Studios. And why are we talking about strategies? Because this is what wealthy people do. And if this is your first time with Lifestyle Focused Wealth, we are talking about what millionaires and billionaires talk about. That's correct. What they talk about. In our first segment today, we're going to be talking about tax strategy planning. And what does that look like? If you've never even heard about that, right? So now, if I were to start there, let's just start there for a given example, right? Are you guys ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay. Hey, before I get started, don't forget, get all your receipts down at the back. The descriptions below. Do me a favor. Make sure you sign up for our email list before we get started. You're going to want to get on the list. That way you can get the details about what's going on, our articles. You learn about travel, recipes, and much more. And it's absolutely free to you. So let's get started. We're going to talk about tax strategies and planning. So let's be honest. Nobody enjoys paying taxes. Nobody does. But the goal isn't to avoid taxes. The goal is simply to become more strategic about them. So many people spend their entire lives focused on earning money, right? Earning money. But very little of us focus on keeping money and keeping more of what we earned. You hear me talk about storing capital all the time. And I say it over and over and over again. We are already rich. We just haven't been taught how to store our riches, right? So think about it. You work harder. You invest more. You can save aggressively. But if taxes continue to take a large portion of your income, your wealth building becomes much more difficult. Would you agree with me on that? It becomes much more difficult. That's why successful wealth planning includes tax strategy planning. Not once a year, every year. So, it's often that we sit down and have these one-on-one discussions, and most people are surprised when they find out that we're not just talking about life insurance here at Lifestyle Focused Wealth. We're not. Even though it's one of my favorite products to talk about. One of my favorite financial tools to talk about. But here's where many people become surprised. Certain life insurance strategies can create tax advantages, and its flexibility within a larger financial plan can't go unnoticed. Notice what I said? Within larger strategy. So the policy itself isn't the strategy. A lot of people get this mixed up. It's not. The strategy is creating tax efficient wealth. And that's what we talk about. The product simply supports the strategy. And that's what I love about it, because most people don't even know what it does. Most people think you still have to die to have life insurance or for it to benefit someone. And that's absolutely not the case. And I love talking to people when I can give an opportunity to educate them and give them more financial education about this most misunderstood product. Because when you start looking at your financial decisions through a different lens, everything changes. And I hope that today's conversation helps somebody change a little bit more, right? Helpful. Am I being helpful? Am I being helpful? So let's move on to the second strategy I want to be talking about a little bit more. And this one is especially important for business owners, right? We call it business succession planning. And I like this conversation because succession planning is something nobody wants to think about, but it's the income generator for most families if they own businesses, right? So it's only right to think about who's going to take this over when I'm not here, right? So if you're a business owner and you've probably invested years and years of your money, maybe even decades of your time building this company, you've definitely sacrificed something. You sacrificed time with family, probably holiday, Thanksgiving, Christmas dinners. I know I have. You've traveled when other people travel with their families. You probably had to travel with you by yourself. You've taken some risk. You've worked on weekends. Like I said before, you've missed some family events. Well, you've definitely poured your life into building something valuable. And this value should not go unmentioned. But here's the question for you. What happens if you are no longer there? What happens? What happens if you retire? What happens if you become disabled? What happens if something unexpected occurs? I just want to know. Because many business owners have no succession plan. And unfortunately, that's where families and businesses can face serious challenges. And we're going to talk about these things because employees become totally uncertain at that point. Partners become unconcerned or concerned. Some of them are unconcerned because they move on to something else. But the ones who are invested, they become very concerned, right? Many family members may disagree. So if you got more than one person in a room, you can almost be assured that they're not going to see things the same way. So the value of the business can suffer. And that's why succession planning matters. I love having this conversation because it taps on things that the business owner probably never even thought about. And it allows you to have a conversation early enough that you can prepare for who's going to be taking over, and you find out who's really interested in running your business and who's not. Most people just force their businesses on their younger family members who may not be interested at all. So if you can find this out early enough, guess what? You can find someone who's more qualified, eager to learn, and eager to build your dream, right? And help it go further. So these are reasons why I enjoy succession planning. Is because the goal isn't simply to own life insurance. The goal is to create continuity. And the goal is to create liquidity for the family, whether I'm here or not, right? So the goal is to ensure that the business survives and thrives beyond the owner's involvement. So when we sit down and have this conversation with you as a business owner of any level, you don't have to be some huge enterprise. You could be a small mom and pop. Okay? Again, strategy is first. Product is second. Hopefully, you're understanding what I'm saying. Because when the succession planning and strategies are properly designed, it protects not only the business owner, but everyone who depends on the business. The family, the people who work there, right? The customers and clients that it serves, the community. There's a lot more involvement when we start to think about succession. And a lot of times the business owner, especially the small business owner, is usually just thinking about what they got to do on today's calendar. And there's so much more tied to that person's good decisions. And in our private coaching classes, you'll hear me talk about making good decisions and eliminating the bad ones. Make good decisions, right? So with that, before we go any further, I want to make sure and welcome everybody to our Lifestyle Focused Wealth journey over here. And how's everybody doing this Friday? Just tell me that. I want to invite you to be a part of our Lifestyle Focused Wealth community because you need to think about joining, right? I think you do. You need to think about joining our Lifestyle Focused Wealth community because it's only $16 a month. $16 a month as of right now when you pay your annual subscription. And you have access to people already taking advantage of what millionaires and billionaires do. So if you can do that, it might be a wise thing to do. And I want to welcome you to book a session with me. Sit down and have a conversation. And let's see if there's something about your situation that you might learn and see it differently. We love having you come around and have a conversation, and we chat about it, right? We can always have a gentleman's conversation about those things, right? So I want to talk about another planning topic before we go to break. And this planning topic, it's a topic that many people avoid discussing altogether. It's because it's one of the most important conversations that we can have. Long-term care and disability planning. As our families and more baby boomers are getting aging into this sector of life, long-term care and disability planning is becoming more and more of a conversation because most people start preparing for retirement pretty early. You've had time to work and talk at the water cooler about your 401k, and you're moving the assets around and you're buying real estate, but few people ever plan for disruption, right? I'm going to say that again. Most people prepare for retirement. Few people prepare for disruption. I hope you're not one of them. So if it sounds like I'm talking to you, I got an answer for you. Yet life doesn't always go according to plan. A health event, a disability, a need for long-term care, these situations can dramatically impact the family's finances because they may not have been ready to take care of you. Not because they weren't successful, but because they weren't prepared. This is the strongest financial plans that we're talking about that aren't built for ideal situations and circumstances, right? I've seen it all. Over the last 28 years, a lot of times, most people, they're built to withstand life uncertainties. They usually are. But planning for long-term care, planning for a disability, planning for the unexpected health challenge, this isn't about fear. It's about responsibility, right? Because you got to start to think, guys, in maintaining someone's dignity, it's about preserving choices. And if you haven't been in that situation, this is highly important. And I'm going to go ahead and share with you. It's about protecting the lifestyle that you've spent your years creating. Again, the strategy matters more than the product because preparation creates the options to live the way you live. And those options create confidence. Okay? Those options create confidence. So I'm hopeful that I'm touching on something today. Please leave us some information in the comments. Tell me your takeaways. Go ahead and let me know. If this is ringing true to you, go ahead and subscribe and tell someone that you're sharing someone what we're doing here and how things are going. So I want to say hello to everybody. Hey, Leela, I see you out there, lady. Good day, Sam. I see you, buddy. All of our Lifestyle Focused Wealth community members are showing up, and our back office teams and our inner circles, as always. It's good to see you guys. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. You know, I don't know what I do about our Lifestyle Focused members because they keep me going. I have to be honest with you. They do keep me going. So as we continue to talk about it, you know, we can't be so afraid to have conversations that people find as taboo, right? And they're not necessarily have to be taboo. You know, it's a matter of us holding these responsibility in our hand, right? I think so. I think it's about that responsibility. And as long as you know that, planning gets easier and easier to do. It really does. Happy Friday, Donna. I see you out there. Thank you so much. Y'all are really talking it up in the chat today. I see you talking it up. Man. So when we talk about our coaching segments and our classes, let me shift to something just a quick second, because I was having a conversation with one of my mentees the other day, and they were asking a question. And they were asking some questions that generally are for our students. I want to take this moment to understand so that the public can understand the value of coaches and why coaching matters. I almost look at it like how we talk about the school teacher. You never know what a school teacher is dealing with until you actually go to their third and fourth and fifth grade class and you sit there for a half a day, maybe one period, and you watch what's happening as these students, first of all, behave and then get in line and then start to learn. Now, before we wrap up today's show, we're going to talk about why coaching matters. Because I want to talk about something that often gets overlooked, and that's coaching. Coaching is one of those things that people look over all the time. You see, we live in a world full of information, and this information is everywhere now. All you got to do is get on ChatGPT, get on, well, if you still are using Google, you can go on YouTube and watch videos, read articles, you can listen to podcasts. Everybody wants the free cheat sheet, attend seminars, but this information alone doesn't create results. The people giving the information also know what we're giving you. Make no mistake about it. We're giving you enough information so that you can be intrigued enough to learn more. But just like college, you can't just walk on a college campus and start having class. You must pay tuition. You must pay tuition. And when you see that, or you think about it that way, coaches are very much the same way. They really are, especially when you get to the good ones that have something meaningful to coach about. And when we start to talk about it, implementation creates the results that you look for. Those coaches are going to help prepare you. They are. Because it's not just information alone. It's not going to do it. You could be the smartest person. I know a person right now that has been to every seminar, knows every big name out there, and hasn't connected the dots yet. The dots are connected once you start to put it in action. Implementation matters. Doesn't matter how long you follow Ronco around. If you go sit in my office or you want to come see how we run our operation, guess what? It's very simple. We're not sitting behind a desk all day. We're applying the information that we use and implementing it day after day after day, making good decisions, eliminating the bad ones. That's what's required. Implementation often requires guidance, not the product. You need guidance. And that's one of the reasons we've developed Lifestyle Focused Wealth in our approach, in our strategies, in our philosophy. Because we're not talking about selling products whatsoever. But to help people think differently about planning and to help people understand strategy, also to help people connect today's decisions with tomorrow's goals, we have to have the conversation about the product, right? Because the reality is most people don't need another financial product. They need clarity. They need direction. They need purpose. And sometimes they need someone asking the right questions. And that's where education and coaching and strategic planning become incredibly valuable. When I say valuable, I don't mean expensive. What expensive is what it's costing you without the information. That's expensive. But if you can get with a coach that can give you tremendous value, it doesn't matter if they're just opening their mouth to introduce you to the first $100 that you've made. They've just increased your value by $100. If you go apply 2 strategies and it works, that value is added to your life. And a lot of times people are overlooking it. I used to talk about these things all the time when salespeople generally are salespeople. And in a sales environment, they're often trying to close a deal, selling a product, probably not listening with both ears, which drives people nuts. But can you imagine having a coach in a sales environment? Well, what happens is the customer shuts down the coach. The coach sounds like a salesperson to the customer, but the truth is that person's coaching. And then when the coach gives a directive, they don't play the game for you. They stand on the sideline and tell you what to do and run the play. That's up to you to bring your talent to the game. Make sense? Well, this is where disruption happens, because when you do run into a coach, you might perceive them as a salesperson. Because you're perceiving them as a salesperson, the direction, it ain't the same, but it sounds similar. And those cues get crossed up. In other words, the salesperson gives you information because they want to give you too much information. The coach is not giving you more than what you paid for, because everything they say has value. Hopefully I'm making sense today. Am I making sense? Do y'all understand that? Give me a thumbs up in the chat or in the comments if it is making sense today. So I want to make sure that we're having these conversations. These are the three things that I honestly think are rooted in what we should expect, right? I really think that these are simple things that we overlook in our day-to-day process. And it's okay. It's okay. If you're one of those that have overlooked the value in someone, it's okay. I'm going to encourage you to get with a coach, get in a class, apply what they're talking about. Apply it and see what happens, right? And once you start to apply it, listen to the strategy. Why are we talking about the strategy so much? When we return, we'll get into it a little bit more, and we're going to dig into it just a little bit more so that you can understand why these things are important and you're not wanting to overlook them the next time you have these conversations with family, friends, or other coaches. See you in a minute. At L.R. Johnson and Associates, Inc., life insurance was never designed just for when you die. It was designed to protect the life you're building while you're alive. Using our lifestyle-focused design strategies, we know real wealth is not just about numbers on a statement. It's about having more time and freedom for meaningful experiences with your family, business, and legacy. That is the heart of lifestyle-focused wealth philosophy. Designing your money around how you actually want to live, who you want to protect, and what you want to leave behind. When lights out moments happen in life, your family should not be forced to struggle, sell assets, start over, or sacrifice the future you worked so hard to create. The wealthy understand this. They do not look at life insurance as just another bill. They look at it as a family banking strategy, a tool for protection, a tool for leverage, a tool for preserving wealth and positioning the next generation to move forward with strength. Because you work too hard to leave your income, your family, and your future exposed to chance. Life insurance, when structured the right way, becomes more than a policy. It becomes love in action. It becomes leadership. It becomes a promise that the people who depend on you will be protected no matter what. This is about taking control today so tomorrow is not left uncertain. Protect your income. Protect your family. Protect your future. Because life insurance is not just about a policy. It is about the lifestyle you protect and the legacy you leave. Follow L.R. Johnson and Associates, Inc., licensed insurance professionals, for more lifestyle-focused wealth strategies. Contact our office to schedule a one-on-one session with our financial professionals today. Hey, join our lifestyle-focused wealth community. Membership starting at $16 a month when you pay the annual subscription. So register online today at www.lrjohnson.com. www.lifestylefocuswealth.com. Hey, it's Ronco Johnson, your Lifestyle Focused Wealth Coach. Good day, good day, good day. Thank you for joining us. This is when the lights go out. Are you ready? Hey, good day, good day, good day. Hey, listen, before we wrap up today's show, I want to give you 5 discussion points that I think are important, because I want to leave you with 5 important questions to think about. And these are discussion points that can have you or help you to elevate whether your current financial plan is truly built around strategy, or is it simply built around products, right? So a lot of times we have these conversations in our one-on-ones. People have product, but they don't have a strategy. So discussion point number 1, I want to make sure that we have is, are you planning for income or are you planning for taxes? Because most people spend their years building retirement accounts, but very few spend time asking, what happens when I start taking money out? Huh. Put that in the comments. If you have questions right now, put them in the comments. What happens when I start taking money out? You ever thought about that? Because many retirees discover they have accumulated assets, but haven't developed a strategy for withdrawal. And as a result of that, they may pay more taxes than expected. That's a problem. The question isn't how much money you've accumulated. The question is, how much of it do you actually get to keep? That's the more important question. See, a strategic plan examines both the accumulation and the distribution, because retirement isn't about building wealth. It's about keeping wealth. That's one to grow on today. Okay? It's discussion point number 2. And I think this is something that happens. If you own a business, how many business owners do we have online today? And if you're a business owner, you want to send me a DM, send me a DM. Tell me about you, your business. If you want to have our one-on-one conversation, go ahead and go to roncojohnson.com and book you some time, right? Book some time. Tell me about your business. Because what happens if you're not there tomorrow? This is a question many business owners avoid. I can tell you my lights out moment for myself happened back in 2012, where everything in my life was going well. And then once that lights out moment occurred, next thing you know, I'm in the hospital. Things occurred. And then I'm not able to go back to work. And those were people that depended on us, depended on me. The shame, the guilt, the struggle. You didn't want that. So what we're talking about is not if you die. We're talking about those people who struggle and live, right? You have to live with the struggle. Disability, you're living. Long-term care, you're living. You're watching the things that you've built shrink. And it goes much faster than you may think. So by talking to business owners and asking this very serious question that most business owners are trying to avoid, not because they don't care, it's because they're running their businesses. Yet, every business owner should ask the question, who takes this over if I'm not around? How is the ownership transferred if I'm not around? How are my employees protected if I'm not around? How's my family protected if I'm not around? How's my business value perceived and preserved? All these things happen because you bring value to the business. And a business succession plan isn't about preparing for failure. That's not what it's about. It's about preparing for continuity. It's about your business surviving for generations. And the ones that survive, this is rarely accidental. They survived because it was intentional planning. It was intentional planning all along, right? So you got to think about these businesses out here, these entities, I should say it this way, these just persons called companies that are over 100, 150 years old. You think that's by mistake? Do you think that's because they just kept selling? No, that's not what happened. That is not what happened, y'all. It was intentional. It was intentional. Everything about it was intentional. Am I making sense? Am I making sense? I'm hopeful that y'all are vibing with me today because these are some real points. And, we get on these topics and we have these topics, and a lot of times we gloss over the hard stuff, the hard conversations, because people aren't always ready for how deep these things are. But they're deeply emotional because so many moving parts are involved. And these moving parts deserve your attention. Our third discussion point, we'll talk about long-term care for a moment. What would a long-term care event do to your retirement plan? Because many financial plans assume everything goes perfectly. But what if it doesn't? What if it does not? What if a spouse needs care? What if health challenges last year and it lasts more than 1 year? And these health challenges keep going instead of just months. What if one event dramatically changes your expenses? Just one. Just one. It could be a car accident. It could be an injury. It can change a lot of things. The reality is that long-term care planning isn't about expecting problems. It's about protecting options. The more options you have, the more control you maintain over your future. See, a lot of times we're getting confused with thinking that we lose control. That's not the case. By doing these planning steps, you're actually getting more control. You have more say-so. You have access to your capital whenever you like. You've protected these things in your life that could happen. It's about protecting the options. The more options you have, the more control you maintain. Put that in the comments. For those of you out there, just put that in the comments. Because control is one of the greatest forms of financial security. You hear me say it all the time. Our once concept. The once concept, ONCE, own nothing and control everything. It's one of the greatest forms of financial securities you can have. Our fourth discussion point for today. Are your financial products working together? And I say that with a smile because a lot of people want to tell me what they got. And many times these products don't work well. when they're on their own. And one of the biggest planning mistakes that we see as advisors is people often have investments. They have insurance. They have a retirement account. They have a savings account. They have a business asset. They have real estate, but none of them are coordinated. It's like having talented players on a team without a game to play. That's the best way I can put it. Because when we think about it, every financial tool should serve a very specific purpose. And this is what I mean by that. Every strategy that we talk about should support a larger objective. Would you agree with me on this? Yes? No? Put it in the comments. Stay active. Stay awake. Because your goal isn't about owning more products. And you can have every product out there, and they won't work well if they're not in alignment. Our goal is to create alignment, because alignment, it creates efficiency. And that efficiency creates the results that you want. Hopefully I'm getting down today. I'm giving you guys some huge nuggets in our discussion. And I hope you're writing it down. Our number 5 talking point for today, discussion point, is who's helping you think strategically? Who? Is it your older brother or younger sister, or is it a family member that has no life experience in this situation? Is it someone who has a total different situation than your own? This may be the most important question of all. Every successful athlete has a coach. Every successful business person has an advisor. Every successful organization has leadership. So, yet many people attempt to make these life-changing financial decisions entirely on their own. And it's crazy why you would do that. I don't understand. Sometimes what creates the biggest breakthrough isn't the new product. It's the new perspective. The way you think is what changes it. It's when someone's helping you identify your blind spot. It's when someone helping you can ask better questions. It's just like helping you stay focused on the outcome instead of getting distracted by the latest financial trend. You know, your friends calling you because they got something on the internet that's going to promise you to make millions of dollars, and it ends up being a Ponzi scheme, or another network marketing opportunity, or all these different things that come up. And you're willing to try all this stuff, but you're not willing to do the strategic planning on the more traditional financial planning platform. This is why financial intelligence and education matters. It matters. It matters. That's why coaches matter. That's why strategic conversations, our fireside conversations, often create greater value than the actual transactions, because the right strategy can impact every area of your financial life. Not one time, not for 1 month or 2 months, for years to come. And once you get it down and once you understand it, you can always duplicate the play. Now, here's the challenge I want to leave you with today. I want to leave you with a challenge that I want to make sure that you understand. I want you to take a few minutes this week and ask yourself, am I making financial decisions based on the products or based on strategy. I'm going to be quiet for just a second and let that sink in. If you're a person that has the strategies, or you're the person that has the product, if you are the person that has the product, the answer to that question may determine the quality of your financial future. And that's why we're here. That's what When the Lights Go Out, Are You Ready is all about. That's what our lifestyle focused wealth community is all about, right? It's about giving you that structure. It's about giving you some quality focus time on where you're going and where you want to be. Not being fearful, holding on to something that happened in your past. So, as we say every week here at Lifestyle Focus Wealth, wealth isn't about how much money you're going to accumulate. It's about what you protect, what you preserve, and ultimately, what you pass on. I hope this is resonating with you. I hope that this is resonating with you. And I hope you decide to share this information with someone, because we need to make sure that we're all ready. Hey, that's my time for today. Thanks for spending time with me. Thanks for spending time with us today. Thanks for coming in and hanging out with us like you always do. I want to then get you to think about, as you're celebrating this Juneteenth, let's not wait to get behind. Let's get ahead of it. Let's get ahead of it. Because when the lights go out, are you ready? We'll see you next Friday at 1 p.m. as usual. And as we always say, we look forward to seeing you at the top. Hey, that's my time, and I look forward to seeing you again. God bless, and have a blessed weekend. And do me a favor. Be safe, be kind, and return safe. And I'll see you next week. God bless.